Hello and welcome to the Crusader Corner podcast. I'm your host, Mr. O'Donnell, and today our very special guest is Mr. Mike Picciano.
Very special.
Yeah, very special. He's a former basketball coach for Tyburn, and I worked under him as an assistant. Is how we met. And recently, he had taught personal finance course at Tyburn, so we wanted to bring him on to talk about teaching personal finance to kids and teenagers, and how we do that here at the academy. So thanks for coming on, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Could you share real quickly how you got involved with teaching kids personal finance at Tyburn?
Sure. Well, first of all, just teaching in general. I like working with kids. You mentioned basketball. That's kind of how I got started teaching kids, right? Slowly over time, as I've gotten older and getting closer and closer to retirement, money becomes important.
Mm-hmm.
And at my regular job, I became involved with the 401k plan and actually became a trustee of the plan and became the chairperson of the trustee committee.
Wow,
and so I really developed an interest in that, saving and investing and growing your money for retirement. So because of our relationship here, and we've talked in the past about, what else maybe I could do, and this opportunity came up to teach personal finance. I'm very interested in it. And so, I jumped at that.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So could you tell us what is involved in a high school level curriculum class at Tyburn that goes over personal finance?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, personal finance for kids, or what I found is that kids really don't have a good understanding of personal finance, of money in general.
Okay.
And so it's so important that they start getting this in school, especially if they're not getting it at home, right? And so what we did here in our class is start from the very beginning. And we start with basic math, because so much of personal finance and thinking about money is basic math. It's even thinking about fractions and decimals too. So we talk a little bit about that. But then we quickly get into paychecks and taxes, and what do you do with the money that's left over in your paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into budgeting and learning about how important it is to save and save early and invest early, and then invest. Just that term invest is confusing to kids too.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time talking about investing and the stock market, and let's not be afraid of the stock market. What is it all about? And it's all so important that they get a basic understanding of all this and not be afraid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we'd all like to retire someday.
It's the last thing on a kid's mind.
Exactly.
Right?
It is the last thing on their mind.
Yeah.
But one of the topics we talk about, one of the important things is how important time is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start early and let your money grow over time, it does grow, and you do get to retire. Yeah. So you do want to start thinking about it early.
Yes. I remember my in my personal upbringing with finances, it was my parents has to be responsible, right? But I never learned anything about investing. And I think I was 19 working a summer job, doing some construction, different people's houses. And the owner of the house on one job site asked me how old I was. I told him I'm 19. And he started telling me about how I could become a millionaire if I started investing. And just being like a teenager on a job site, you're just kind of like smiling and nodding, like, okay, this guy seems kind of crazy. And then I really didn't start taking it seriously until actually during COVID, we're all shut up in our homes. I discovered Dave Ramsey, right. And then that's where I started to take the math pretty seriously. And then I start kicking myself for not paying attention as a 19-year-old,
right.
To the advice. But
Well, one of the things
Yeah.
we talk about at work with the 401k and when I'm explaining everything to the employees is it's never too late to
Yeah.
start.
Mhm.
It's never too late to start. And so you're fine. You're going to be good.
So for the you also run an investment club here at
Ye-
the school for the kids.
Yes.
Um,
So these are mostly kids that did not participate in the personal finance class. So the club is a very short time period, once a week. So we don't have time to really get into all the topics that we did during personal finance,
Mhm.
but we play this stock market game in New York State. I think our region is like central and western New York, and we compete against other schools in investing. And so slowly we are learning more and more about investing. But the game started back at the beginning of school in September,
Yeah.
and it goes the full school year.
That's cool.
And we're in second place right now out of 30 schools.
That's a good sign of the
Yeah.
things to come from our alumni, I
Yeah,
guess.
there's yes, right, exactly. And there's a couple kids in the class, a couple freshmen that are just killing it. Like they're in 13th place, and the other one's 14th place in that same state region.
Of all the kids in the
Of all the
region,
kids, so
they're in the
thousands
top
of
15.
kids. Those two, and so maybe they're like dragging us up to
Yeah.
the in
Oh,
the
sure.
rankings as a
Yeah.
team. But it's been fun, and the kids like today, they're just their questions. They're just asking great questions, and they're paying attention, and they seem interested in it.
Yeah. So they're playing with fake money, but
Fake money.
going through the simulations of like what it looks like to put in an order.
Exactly.
And, okay.
And
Cool.
and like today, I just asked the kids for ideas. Like, what type of companies are you thinking about right now? And they'd throw out one, and we'd put it up on the board and say, why is this good or why is this not a good investment? And they would have to give their case,
Mhm.
and then other kids can say what they agree with it or don't agree with it. And
Okay. Cool.
it's a
Yeah.
good discussion, because that's the other part is, again, with the short time frame, you try to expose them to all the different factors and things that could affect whether a stock goes up or down, and then let's get into those and study it a little bit and understand and
Yeah.
come up with a reason why we think it's good or bad.
Cool.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
it's been fun.
So, how old are your kids now?
My kids?
Yeah.
Oh, my kids are old. My twins are 22, and then my oldest daughter is 25.
22 and 25. Okay.
Yeah.
And so like since you're into personal finance, you come in and volunteer at the school with it. What advice would you have for parents who are, raising their teenagers and want to set them up with good habits and success down the road in terms of personal finance?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You've walked that road, and I
Mhm.
think you've walked it intentionally.
Mhm.
So, what advice would you have?
Yeah, that's a
for
good
them?
question. So I was thinking about that recently and thought about how I was exposed to it. And one of the very early exposures I had was an allowance.
Mhm.
So my parents gave me an allowance. My dad took me to the bank with him. It just exposes you to it.
Yeah.
So I would say early exposure from a parent, because then the kid can ask questions. So I would go to the bank with my dad. Back in those days, in the 70s, there was no online trading and stock market.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The stock market was a building in an office that we would go to, and he would punch in the stock symbols and I'd be right there standing with him, and then he would talk to me about companies that I was interested in, like Disney, right?
Mhm.
As a kid,
Yeah.
Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse, right? So we would research the Disney company, and that started to get me interested in what he was doing there. So things like that, and his budgeting too. I would sit down at the table with him, and he would go through the budget.
Go
Like,
through the
well,
family budget with you.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
not intentionally say, "Hey, Mike, here's what I'm doing today," but
Mhm.
he would talk about how he would budget so much for gas and so much for groceries, and
Yeah.
and I would see the money there
Mhm.
before it went to the bank, and it
Oh, okay.
was
Yeah.
it really stuck with me. And so I didn't do exactly that with my kids, but we did the allowance thing. I took them to the bank with me. We didn't hide from them with money discussions. We were always open to talk about money. And then as they got older into their, like when they started working, like at 16 years old,
Yeah.
they would have a little part-time job. Then we opened up a stock trading account for them, not for them to do trading, but for them to invest. And then we talk about different opportunities for IRAs, you know, individual retirement accounts, and this new Roth IRA, which the money grows tax-free, you know, all these different things. We would just talk about it. And so now that they're older and they have 401ks, but they've been investing for years before they got their first real job, you know. Well, one of my daughters is still in school. She's getting her PhD, but the other ones have jobs and everything in 401ks, and it's not new or foreign to them. They understand it.
So would you say it's part of the like your family culture, just bring into like the dinner conversations? About investing, trading.
Yeah, I think that sometimes parents may have those discussions in private, but there's nothing wrong with talking about money in front of the kids. Again, talking about how you budget and how you save and, you know, invest. And also, we also talked about church too. You know, that was one of the budget items. You know, what are we giving to the church?
No, right.
You know, so the, your donations, that's part of the whole plan.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think I'm glad you brought that up, because like one way to be viewing finances, right, is that we're stewards. Now we can't take it with us, right? But there's a lot of parables in the Gospels about investment, okay, and being a good steward with the gifts and the opportunities God's given you. And so yeah, like it should be part of the discussion, right? That you're tithing, right? You're
exactly.
Not just accumulating the wealth, right, for your own personal material satisfactions, but to also be, you know,
and to actually make it a budget item. It's not like it's going to be forgotten. It's right there with everything else.
Yeah,
it's as important as everything else that was in your budget.
Okay. Awesome.
So, yeah, I forget about that now that we're talking about it, and I think about those days sitting at the table with Dad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, cool story.
Not knowing that I was learning it at the time, but you just absorb all that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever met someone before. I mean, clearly I knew you, but I know this about you, that like your dad would take you to the old research machines. And I say old because ever since I've been involved, it's all been online.
They were old.
Yeah.
Even when I first started working here in Auburn, downtown on South Street, I would walk downtown to the stock market and meet Dad there, or go there one day and just see him sitting there doing research, because you couldn't go online to do your research. He would go there to get the periodicals and the newspapers and everything and do his research.
Yeah.
And then they had the little terminals there where you could check on your companies.
So there's a wealth of ease of opportunities and access
now
for today. So it's even more important to make sure these kids know how to take advantage.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
And that's something that when we did the personal finance class, some of this newer stuff was not detailed in the textbook. So we kind of developed our own, you know, we got to talk about this stuff. It's brand new and the kids are doing it and it's easy for them to have access to it. So we need to address some of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. It's always changing, fast-paced world, right?
Exactly.
So, able to adapt.
And actually sorry, I'm just
go for it.
Some of the things. One of the other things that we did in the personal finance class was we took a field trip to the bank. And so we just showed how easy it is. You talk to the teller, you deposit money here.
How many kids have never been to the bank?
We went, what's that?
Do you know how many of the kids it was like their first time going to a bank?
Oh, that it was their first time? I don't know.
Okay.
But we had 7 kids total that went on that field trip. I don't know how many it was the first time. Yeah. But we didn't just do that. We then talked to all the employees. Yeah. What's your job here? What do you do?
Really
like
cool.
They had a mortgage consultant, right? Talk to him. What do you do? What are mortgages? You know, talk to the manager at the bank. How did you get this job? What did you have to do? Did you go to school for this? What are your interests? Why did you get into this field? And we did the same thing to the tellers and everybody that was there. So it was a really good experience for them. I hope they got something out of it. I thought it was pretty good.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Mike, thanks for coming on today.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.